I used to think longevity was all about the genetics that we were given and that we have to live out how our fate was destined. And while that may be somewhat true, there's a lot of difference that we can make to our lives that will affect us profoundly. I mean, look at these people out here around the world living in the 90s, these blue zones, as we'll talk about, have people living way beyond 90s. Japan has people in the 110s. And what are these people doing? Because not only are these people living long, they seem to be living long and happy. So what is Western society not doing that these other societies have been doing and what they've been doing for thousands of years? So I took a deep dive into what makes these people and cultures live so long, and I found 5 different tips, or as I call them, 5 golden rules for longevity. So the first one we have is mental. A 2017 study published in the Psychology of Medicine showed that people with depression have a 1.5 times higher likelihood of death compared to those who don't suffer from it. Another study in the 2017 PLOS journal showed that people with high emotional well-being had a 30% less chance of dying from any causes of mortality than those people with the low emotional well-being. And this goes to show you how much stress and anxiety and all those mental problems affect us. And they affect us profoundly in our life, the quality of our life, and we need to kind of balance these. Now, a lot of cultures, especially the Eastern cultures that have longer living people, practice a lot of meditation, mindfulness, well-being, and they focus on the person itself. Now, in our Western society today, we're really focused on so many things going on. There's always something new going on, but we're not really focused on ourselves. These Eastern cultures have been focusing on meditating, being one with yourself, even in silence, because it just removes all the distractions that you're thinking of and it brings you back to peace. Because all these distractions, all they do is bring up our stress levels, bring up our cortisol levels. And the more long-term stress you have, that's going to cause more damage. So meditate, take a deep breath, relax with the environment, and join your community. So that's another key part. Community has been found in a lot of these cultures, especially the Eastern cultures like in ancient China, ancient Japan, India, Middle East, all those areas, they had a great sense of community. Even in the European countries, they still have a great sense of community. People live in groups together. And this is great for people when they're trying to relieve their stress, trying to connect with other people. They don't feel as lonely, because loneliness, it leads to depression. And depression, as we talked about, leads to an earlier onset of death. So what we want to do is make sure that we have a support group of people that we can rely on. When we're feeling down, they can support us. When we want to talk to someone about something happy, there's someone to listen to us. It's just nice to have that sense of community where people are there for you at all times. People with strong knit communities have been shown to have a 50% less likelihood of death compared to those with non-strong communities. A lot of Western society nowadays is very individualized, so we don't have a strong sense of community. And we need to go back to those old times and have a nice community, a nice set of people that you're living close to, or you can go visit all the time, whether it be your family, your friends, clubs, social support groups, whatever it may be. Having a nice, strong sense of community will increase your chances of surviving a longer period of time on this earth. Golden rule number 2, activity. So this is kind of a no-brainer. We all know exercise is good for us, but let me just give you guys some stats. So the people with the most strength in the world, like the top 0.25%, have a 400% decrease in all causes of mortality. And people with the higher VO2 max, which is the amount of oxygen that your muscles can receive and take in, have a 200% decrease in all causes of mortality. So what does this all mean? It means people with more strength and more ability to transport oxygen within their body have a higher likelihood of survival from anything compared to people who don't. And in today's society, we're really losing that strength, we're losing that muscle, we're losing that oxygen ability to transfer in our blood because we're very sedentary. We're always sedentary all the time. And back in the day, and cultures in Japan and Europe still to this day are more active. They're walking around, they're going to shops, they're walking to work, they're biking. While a lot of American societies, we're focusing on sitting down in cars, sitting down in buses, sitting at work, and it's not as active. So activity is key to living longer and is one of the probably most important of the golden rules to longevity. Not to mention that when you exercise, you release endorphins endorphins. Endorphins are the make you feel good type of hormone. So after you exercise and push yourself, you will feel really, really good after you're done with it. And doing exercise can prevent so many different diseases like diabetes type 2, heart diseases, osteoporosis, and so many more. Golden rule number 3 that I found is sleep. Now, this is a very important one. Studies have shown that people who have lived past their 90s have been sleeping for around 7 to 8 hours for a long period of time. The people with shorter lifespans are the people with inconsistent sleep cycles and sleeping around 5-ish hours or less. So it all puts emphasis on us sleeping more. We're not sleeping enough in today's society. Adequate sleeping prevents the immune system from getting overrun by viruses and diseases. It helps the body restore its cells. So the cells working in your organs and everything in between is getting repaired and restored at night. Not only that, your mental function, you get to reset. It's like when you turn your phone off, it kind of gets to reset. That's what sleep does for us. Sleeping also actually directly affects aging because the cells are not able to function or restore themselves as they're naturally supposed to. So if you see someone who's chronically sleep deprived, they probably look like they're aging faster than their non-sleep deprived counterparts. Some studies have even shown that a single night of sleep deprivation can increase cellular aging. One single night. So imagine if you've been doing this for years and years, you're probably cutting off actual years from your life. And that's what these cultures are not doing. They're sleeping adequately and allowing the elderly to rest properly. And as we get older, we tend to sleep more and more as well. So we need that adequate sleep to function properly and live a healthy, long life. Golden rule number 4, no drugs. So a lot of these cultures, smoking has not been a part of them at all. Smoking is the leading cause of preventable death in America and is responsible in some form for 1 in 4 deaths across the nation, with the average smoker losing around 10 years of their life. And cigarettes have over 7,000 chemicals in them, and it's shown that over 69 of them are linked to cancer. And the problem's even worse with hard drugs. And the problems range from short-term to long-term. And people who use drugs have a 300% increased chance of death from all causes of mortality. Now onto alcohol. As we know, excess alcohol causes damage to the liver, heart, causes cancers, and etc. But did you know a 2018 study from The Lancet showed that moderate drinking increases your death from all causes of mortality by 10%. Now it's important to say that some of the longest living people in cultures have some form of alcohol within their food, and they've been consuming this for thousands of years. Now the exact reason why it affects some people in terms of their mortality when not affecting others, I don't know. But I can't see this problem. But I do think it comes down to genes. And people who have been drinking within their family, within their culture, probably have less of effect from alcohol on them than people who have never been drinking within their family or culture. But the rest of drugs are mostly not seen in cultures of people that have long living lives. Golden rule number 5, diet. Now this is probably the most obvious one, but it's very, very crucial. And if there's one thing that I found affects most people in their longevity, it's diet. Now I did watch a quick video on how people live in Japan, and the people living past their 90s in a healthy, active way said they were always eating natural foods. And the people usually ate foods that were either within their plants in their backyards or farms, or lean meats that they could fish or find, but simple, unprocessed foods. That's the key right there, unprocessed foods. This is the single thing that has been causing damage in the Western world to longevity. Ever since we introduced processed foods to the mass market, obesity rates have skyrocketed, diabetes type 2 rates have skyrocketed, and all causes of diseases have skyrocketed. But I wanted to dive into the blue zones, as some of you have heard of. Now these are areas which have people living over 90, and what do? So Icaria, Greece, forgive my pronunciation, but these guys, they eat a Mediterranean diet, which is known to be very, very healthy, usually full of greens, lean meats, healthy fats like olive oil and butter, and they have red wine. So this is one of the cultures that does employ alcohol and has people living well past their 90s. The next blue zone I have is Sardinia, Italy. Now these people tend to work on their farms, they eat from their farms, and they drink red wine. So 2 things right here: farms, unprocessed foods, natural foods that they can find easily, and the red wine. The third blue zone is Okinawa, Japan. Again, forgive my pronunciation. but these guys eat a lot of soy-based foods, and soybean is very natural in Japan. It's found almost everywhere, and you can make soy into almost any dish. Provides good natural plant protein, especially since it's unprocessed. They get it straight from their farms. On top of this, they do a lot of meditation. Like we talked earlier, they're relieving the stress from their body, but on top of all this, they're drinking a lot of green tea. Now, I didn't dive that much into green tea, but green tea is supposed to give a lot of antioxidants, and antioxidants are what fight cancer. So this may be why the Japanese from Okinawa have a lifespan of well over 90. Now, the fourth blue zone is the Niquina Peninsula in Costa Rica. And these people tend to have physical jobs and are eating straight from the farms, straight from the local markets, and feel like they have a life purpose to them. They have this sense of direction and they're eating natural foods, which is leading them to have a more longer life. And the fifth blue zone is the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California. Now, these guys are strict vegetarians. They do not believe in eating any meat, but they also have very active lives. So activity plus unprocessed foods and their vegetarian diet is what creates their healthy, long-living life. But a fun fact about the Seventh-day Adventists, these guys are actually the people who helped create Kellogg's and all the associated brands under Kellogg's. So even though they have great, healthy, long-living lives, they actually produce one of the most processed food companies known to mankind. Just a fun fact I'd like to put out there. So these are the 5 golden rules to longevity that I found within my research, and I think these are key. You gotta have mental well-being, you gotta have good activity, you gotta sleep well, stay away from drugs, and fifth but not least, you gotta have a good diet. You know, all of these combined, if you have a strong sense of community, can relieve your stress, you're exercising all the time, you're sleeping well, you're not doing hard drugs, and you're eating well, you'll probably tend to have a good life. Now, genetics do have effect in how our lives are, but we can change them. We can make a difference to our lives by changing these 5 factors. We can make a profound difference. But it doesn't mean all causes of death will be avoided. There's nature. Nature is still at his work. Nature will do what nature thinks is best. Nature will do as nature pleases. But from our end, if we put in the effort, we're more likely to live a longer, healthier life by doing these 5 golden rules. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, watch my other videos. And thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.